So that comes to the compute race. Like as we get into robotics and we get into the human capital, there's a lot of different in my readings and learnings, a lot of different understanding around where are we going to get human capital to do the jobs within the plants and factories. So if you take the semiconductor, like your RAM that goes inside, so the memory that goes inside of your computer, right? There's a shortage of people who are able to work or willing to work in plants. So in order to get systems put in place, we need the robotics built, but to build the robotics, we need the back end engines or data centers. And in that race, right, for AI to help figure out how to do these things better, faster, cheaper, etc., the race comes down to who's going to win the dominance around artificial, call it intelligence manufacturing. Will that be China or will that be the US? Because the presumption is that those who dominate that race will be the world leader continuing to go forward. And that's my basic understanding is if quote unquote we don't win that race, then we will lose dominance in the world because they will
I'm
have
not
better.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that I have seen that or I've heard that song before.
Yep.
There's a couple of ways that if I want to get my project through the local population, I'll do two things. I'll say, think of the
Yep.
jobs we're going to create. Now, for why we're building this, we're going to create all of these jobs. Okay. All right. And then the other one is if we don't do it, then they're going to do it and then we'll lose. And
Yep.
everybody's competitive. Well, I don't want to lose. So
Yep.
let's do it because they're doing it. You know, it's kind of like when you're walking through the store and the guy next to you is walking just a little bit faster. Before you know it, you're running like whatever. It's because it's the competitive nature of people.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I can't say that is wrong. I'm just also noticing I've heard others do that before, and it turned out that that really was just a paper tiger.
I agree with you. I also lean in on just recently there was an announcement from the administration that came out and said, in order to win this race, data centers must and will bring their own power. And that
Uh,
sounds great to people that want to hear that message. My pause, right, going back to kind of like, hey, you got to have a healthy dose of skepticism when you
yeah,
hear
yeah.
things, right? My pause there is that meaning that regulation or deregulation of utilities will start to occur in a way that if I'm a hyperscaler, I can just walk into a community and say, hey, I need to build this facility. I've brought my own power. We're going to go ahead and set things up. Right. And is that what we're going to see? Because do we really want that either? I don't know. That's a question that we need to take pause and understand better as to what that will actually mean. So
Yeah, so
on the surface,
planning
it
and
sounds
zoning.
great.
Planning and zoning. In my neighborhood, you can't put
Hmm.
up a business until it gets zoned for business.
Yep.
But you can put up a house of worship or a church anywhere you can, and that you can do that.
Hmm.
And that's fine. And you know, so what I guess I'm hearing you say is that they might throw data centers also as something that doesn't have to go through the local, bell hoops to jump over. And all of a sudden you go, whoop, whoop, whoop. Wait a minute now. What can go next door? Oh, this can go next door because we've already passed a law and it's okay. And you go, oh, I didn't know about that. Right.
No, I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm not saying that's what happened. I just have that healthy dose of skepticism to say, hey, at surface level, the things that we hear mean one thing, but the reality of what might happen is something we need to pay close
Uh,
attention to, right? It's so I'm not saying, and that's where back in our community, I'm working as close as I can with my city council members, my friends, my neighbors, to understand this is what we have. This is what we have today. So if somebody comes knocking, I don't care whether it's a boot barn or whether it's a cowhide factory or whether it's a data center. This is what we have to work with, and this is the limitations that we need around this new whatever it is, right? And if it is a data center, this is my expertise. This is the things that you need to put in place that don't exist, like a new zoning ordinance. What does that even mean and look like? Here's how we can build it and be one of some of the first, right? So let's move past the talk of studying it, not studying it, but move past the talk of talking about understanding it, and let's get to understanding it. So we know where we sit in the digital age going forward as a community.
Mm-hmm.
And can that bring anything back to our community in a positive light or not?